Here we go. Hi, welcome to the RAMS Agents Production Coaching Call. The goal of the call is to help you sell more homes by maximizing your repeat and referral closings by implementing the Referral Agent Mastery System into your practice. My name is Mike Cerrone, co-founder of RAMS Agents, and my co-host is Angela Newman, a master trainer of RAMS Agents. Hello, Angela. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm doing great. How are you guys today? Woohoo!
Fantastic. All right, cool. Well, let's get started. Who's got some good news they'd like to share today? Who's got some good news you'd like to share?
I have a listing coming up. It should be going active. Our goal is to go active Friday. And it is a listing that we helped him buy this property, and he's been working on it to get it all fixed up. And we are almost there.
Cool. That's fantastic. Congratulations. So sounds like an investor and it's a flip. So you help them buy, you're going to help them sell. How actively involved are you in the fix-ups when those happen?
Well, in this case, I wish I would have been a little more involved. It's in Tulsa. And so I think I could have helped a little bit more because I have personally, part of what I used to do in the
We're getting a
past
little
was,
feedback, Angela. We're getting a little feedback. Like, is anybody else hearing that? Anybody else hearing that? No? Oh, maybe it's just me. All right, Angela, go ahead then. Must be just me. I'll try to fix it on my end.
okay. Um, Part of what I used to do in the past was help sellers not necessarily flip their house, but get it ready for sale. And a lot of times that would include painting and flooring and fixtures and picking all that out for them and repairs, foundation stuff and things. So, but I did help as much as I could with this. And no, I think it's going to look great. And I'm really excited. And it's just a little harder with me being here in Texas. The house is in Oklahoma, but we did a lot of video. We did a lot of photos back and forth. And so, yeah.
That's fantastic. Congratulations. Is this your long-term investor, the one you've been working with for a long time?
Yes, it is.
All right, cool. And you've done quite a few transactions with this gentleman over the years, and we love the story that we've heard about it. So that's pretty cool. So getting a long-term relationship with a active investor can generate multiple transactions throughout time. And you're about to list one of those that you just helped him buy. How long ago did you help him buy it?
We closed on it, I believe it was this spring.
All right, so maybe
So maybe
6 months ago.
April.
Oh, April. Okay, so maybe 5 months ago. So about 5
Mm-hmm.
months to do the fix up for the flip.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's awesome news. Thank you for sharing that with us, and excited for you to get it into the market.
Awesome.
All right, cool. Anybody else have some good news you'd like to share?
I don't know if this will um I don't know if this will keep letting me talk to you. Yeah, it
I
looks
can
like
hear
I
you
can.
now, Blake.
Okay, that sounds good. Hey, I'll just be brief because I am actually in Kentucky right now, and we are moving my daughter here. She's getting married on Saturday, so it's been a very busy, very busy week. But anyway, we are in Kentucky and about to unload some more stuff at her place. Um, anyway, but good news would be that last week I did acquire a drone for video, which is very helpful. Well, in all real estate video, of course, but when Angela mentioned the video, it reminded me, oh yeah, I did get to shoot that video over the weekend at property where there's 3 wooded acres It's really a potential investment property. So I was able to fly that and really show where the property sits. So that was very helpful. And I haven't completed the video yet, but I've collected the shots that I need.
Awesome. Awesome. In your area, do you need to be get a pilot's license to fly that drone?
Yeah, there's definitely not necessarily. It depends on the use. When it's commercial use, which is what I'm obviously using it for in that case, I do need a. I don't even know that it's called a license. It probably is, but it's definitely an FAA requirement that's required because there's two things involved: the size of the drone. Mine happens to be lightweight enough that I can fly it without a license. But I think at any time, whenever you're using it for commercial purposes, you still need to do that. Technically, that is correct, and I'm going to work towards getting that because I'd like to be able to use it in more cases. This is out in the middle of nowhere where I was shooting this video, and when I'm flying it over property that either I own or if it's my own personal property, that's no problem. Or if it's property, it would be a problem if it's somebody else's property because that's for commercial purposes.
Yeah. So if anybody's thinking about getting a drone, make sure you look into all those rules, make sure you're complying with your local rules, and make sure you don't get any hot water with the
Yeah,
drone.
that's a federal requirement. So it's going to affect everybody in the United States. That's for sure.
Yeah, you betcha. Well, good job, Blake. That sounds exciting. Exciting about the drone and also exciting about your daughter and moving her across the country there a little bit. And hope that works out well. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to have to sign off now, but I wanted to get on and say hello.
All right, Blake, that sounds great. Good luck.
Tell her congratulations, Blake. This is exciting.
I will. Thank you.
All right, cool. Thank you. So anybody else have any good news you'd like to share? All right, cool. Cool. I'm working on a special project. It's kind of, I have it in a little black box. I don't talk a lot about it, but I just had some good results with it a couple days ago. Made 10, 15 dials. 10 were legit, and talked to 3 people in this unique little group. And those 3 people were very interesting responses. So one had real estate to sell, but it wasn't the kind of real estate I wanted to sell. It was commercial, and I'm doing just residential at this point. The second group, the second response was they had already just sold the property, so I just missed. I was just a bit late. And the third response was they were currently listed. So 3 out of 3. That's just an amazing stat for a group of people. So I found a group of people that I believe want to sell real estate, and it turns out they do. I did that like a 3-week project to try to do that research on that group. So if that gets fruitful, I'll share maybe some more information down the line, but that's my good news. I was pretty excited that something popped out pretty positive there, and I'll continue to work on that project this week to see what else is there. But a lot of good initial response. All right. Anybody else have any good news you'd like to share?
Yeah, I have some good news. I have a listing coming on the market tomorrow. And it's in a neighborhood that I haven't yet sold a listing, but I'm excited to get more established there. And that's it.
Well, that's fantastic, Tristan. Congratulations. Is that listing, how did you find that listing? How did that come to you?
It was a referral from a past client.
A referral from a past client. Yeah, it just keeps happening over and over again, doesn't it? It's that's fantastic, Tristan. And what were you doing for your reach out for your past clients' sphere of influence? You know, how did you stay in touch with this person that resulted in this referral?
Oh, we're close friends. Oh, we talk every couple of weeks.
So close friends, yeah. The closer are on the inner part of your circle, the easier it is to stay in touch with them. And what we got to remember is we got to use that same strategy as we're going out further in our circle to make sure we're staying in front of people because they all know people that are thinking about buying and selling homes, right?
Right.
And so we're trying to expand our network a little bit, and then do it in a consistent way. And that's what all the top agents do. That's what all the top agents do. They have this, again, PCSOI, past clients, a sphere of influence, is the foundational part of your business. And then we do other types of lead generation if that's not giving us enough business to meet our goals, right? Okay. And ultimately, the other type of business is to fill up our PCSOI with more past clients. Okay, and that's how we create a long-term business. So good job, Tristan. That's fantastic news. Good luck on the listing. And anything else you want to share about the listing? Any other interesting tidbits?
It'll be my highest listing this year. We're listing at $1.5 million.
Wow.
But yeah, I started door knocking already there, letting people know. So I'm starting to make some connections there. But yeah, I'm excited, just one day at a time. But yeah, I'm excited for you.
That is exciting. 1.5 million.
Wow.
And you said it's the highest price you had so far this year. And I think I heard you say you're going to do the other thing that you're doing to generate leads, which is door knocking. And you're going to go around in that neighborhood and let the folks know that you have this listing. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's what I've been doing. I'm letting them know it's coming soon. And then, yeah, when it's on the market, I'll let them know it's on the market. But yeah, it's very interesting how they designed this neighborhood because all of the houses are kind of similar in quite a large area. So whereas where I live, it's more of a mix. You'll have like condos and townhouses and semi-detached and detached all in like the same street sometimes even. But there it's not like that. So yeah, I'm excited to just
Cool. Well, Tristan, you're making me really nervous with your hands off the wheel.
No, they're on the wheel, Mike. They're on the wheel.
Okay.
Yeah, on the
I
straight
didn't know
lane.
if maybe
Yeah.
you're using your knees or something.
No.
I don't want you to crash, but I appreciate the story. Well, good job on the listing and the door knocking. Very exciting stuff. I'm glad that you were doing door knocking before you took the listing. Before it was official, let them know it was coming soon. That can be powerful. Ask them if they have friends or family that want to move into the neighborhood, because they often do know people that want to move in, people that have visited their house. Again, their family, coworkers, friends, other people that have come by to check out their house may have mentioned they want to move into that neighborhood. So it's a pretty smart approach. You're doing it by door knocking. You can also do it by direct mail. You can do it by phone call. If your social media allows it, they used to do it and it's harder now, but you can try to target by social media as well and get in front of those folks and let them know that you got this property coming on the market. Sometimes you can get a quick connection. You can put people together quickly. It's kind of nice. And then after the fact, of course, after you list it, same approach. Good job. And then don't forget, you can do all the little points. So when you go under contract, you can do the same thing. When you go to do the inspection or you clear the inspection, you can do the same thing. When you go to the closing, after the closing, you can do the same thing. And I mention all that because it sounds to me like you'd like to do more business in this neighborhood of $1.5 million homes. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so this is a great way to leverage in when you already have a little bit of success, and go ahead and multiply that up. All right, cool. Anybody else have any good news you'd like to share? All right, fantastic. Let's do this. Let's go ahead and move into our core session of the meeting. Before I get into any topics, I have a tendency to talk too much and not get your burning issue out on the table. So let's do that first. Do you have any issues that you've experienced this week, either short-term or long-term, in your goals, your objectives, or any challenges that came up that you would like the mastermind to talk about and work on? Hi there.
Hi, how are you, Mr. Theron?
Oh, I'm nice. And your name again is Michelle?
Yes.
Michelle,
Yeah.
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. Now just a quick question. I've been, and Angela knows a little bit more. Been working with an individual who's kind of representing a little bit business kind of with family internationally. And just so the communication, I think, is could be better. And so, yeah, I was just curious if both you and Angela what would y'all advise for parties where the buyer isn't certain yet, it's not set in stone, but then, they're reluctant to the commitment, like someone signing something so that I can begin the work, because it's going to be a lot of work. It's an investor. So just curious about that.
Okay, cool. So let's kind of dig into that a little bit. So it sounds like you've said you've got an international client, a potential client, maybe,
Yeah.
because I'm getting the impression they have not signed a buyer agency agreement yet, or
No, I'm trying to
okay.
be firm. Like, don't keep me out here hanging forever. I mean, I've dedicated quite a few days towards this particular situation. So I don't want to seem distant or I'm like bailing on them, but I also want them to know that that I can't apply too much of our resources. A lot of this stuff is proprietary as well, so it's like trying to give them the best that I can with the least amount of most amount of compliance and the least amount of time and resources. So in terms
Sure.
of
Yeah, and you've got to make that decision as a business decision of how much time you want to invest, and we'll kind of come back to that. Let me go back one step first. You said there was a communication challenge. What do you mean by that? Is there a language issue? Is it just a timing thing where you can't get on the same track because they're maybe in another time zone? When you say there's a communication challenge, what is it?
well, yeah, this individual came from out of state and he's only here for a certain amount of days. And so I think so, like, we'll email and we'll text. When he was here, he didn't have access to the actual PC. So I couldn't send as much information through email. But what I did was I screenshotted the actual email so that we can get back later. But I guess maybe I can't articulate it as best as I can. But yeah, there could be also not a language, but maybe cultural difference. I don't know.
Sure. Uh, Keep in mind if the technology is not working, you can always do it old school, meet in person and get things written out with the ink, right? We did that all the time, right? Before the
That's
technology came together.
that's what we did. We went for coffee. I'm like, I'll go up to your hotel area. We'll sit down at IHOP because I like to do business with people that I've met in person. And with him being in town only for a short period of time, it was like, okay, I'm going to have like X amount of hours to, have something like at least the showing rep to be able to take him to the property. But I was really breaking my head, like, how are we going to make it work? Because they don't want to hear no. They want to hear yes eventually. But
Sure.
but yeah, their expectations, that's what it is. And I noticed this with a lot of investors. I mean, they're thinking that you're going to text them right away. So like I'd get a text like at 8 o'clock or 7 in the morning. And it's kind of like Angela said, like, you got to let them know, hey, this is my availability. But it's the expectation, like, I want the information like yesterday. Answer this right now. So
Yeah, you got a lot going on there and a lot of good points that I'm hearing. So I like that you're outlining the expectation to them. Basically, you're going to outline to them how you operate, right? And you should have that formally written down somewhere. You operate between these hours, okay? You do work on these days, you don't work on those days. For instance, you know what your doctor's hours are, right? You know your attorney's hours, you know what other business people's hours, your bank, you know when your bank is going to be open, when it's not going to be open. Same kind of idea. You can set the expectation for them. And then also the texting and emailing becomes a challenge today. Keep in mind, they don't always necessarily need a response right away. It's they wanted to get their idea out there immediately. If they're entrepreneurish, if they're business people. So they may be sending you a text or sending you an email just when they're thinking about it. And what you'll have to do is you're going to have to restrict yourself from responding right away, right? If it's outside of your business hours or you're working on another project, and just create times in the day that you'll be doing your responses, say first thing in the morning or midday, maybe before you end the day. I've had to work on that really hard as I'm re-entering the business with the texting, because you text, you want to do it immediately. And I forced myself not to reply during my after hours, which is really hard mentally. Really have to push it. And if you do, then you mess up and you train the other side to be communicating with you during those off hours that you don't want to be talking to them, right? And then that blows the whole thing. Now they're like, well, you did it once, you'll do it again. You'll talk to me whenever.
Yeah.
And I'll give you a quick example. I have a listing right now. I'm working with a lady and she loves text. And I told her in the beginning, I'm only working between 8 to 5. So I'll be communicating with you then. And so for the first couple texts she'd send some after hours at 6 or 7 or early in the morning. And I would only respond during those hours, which again was very hard for me to mentally get myself to do that. But I did. And then a couple weeks in, she sent me something at maybe 5:30. I in at 5. She sent me something at 5:30, and I replied, and she said, "Oh, thanks for the answer, but you're not supposed to be talking to me right now."
Really?
Right? They know
They get used to
they
it.
understand what you set up as the parameters. You kind of have to train them a little bit. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe that'll help. Going back to the original idea, you do have to, of course, be in your compliance. Ways to get an investor or anybody to work with you when they're a little hesitant is to create an offer that's more attractive to them. So as an example, make a 1-week agreement. If that's not good, how about a 1 day? How about a 1 hour? We'll just go out for 1 hour and look at a property. And if we find you one, great. Test drive would be a term, right? You can test drive, you can sample my work and see if you like it. You're trying to make it easy for them to accept. It's very important, especially in the old days when we signed something, it was a commitment. And that's probably true in all cultures. And so that's why they're a little hesitant to sign, because it's a big commitment. And so if you can shorten the commitment or make it smaller, a bite-sized commitment, it's a lot easier for people.
Definitely.
Does that help?
Yes, it does.
Angela, what would you like to add?
I had a thought on the hours because I do work with investors that travel a lot and or are outside the country. And so we kind of have an understanding, and a lot of it is setting that expectations up front. I keep my phone on do not disturb during sleeping hours, like from 9 o'clock until 8 o'clock in the morning. But I let them know that they can text me because, like Mike said, if they have a thought, I don't want them to feel like they've got to remember it and hold on to it forever. And there's a way that you can program your phone for certain people to be able to bust through that. So like your kids, your spouse, your best friend, if there was an emergency, your mom or something. So it'll just do not disturb for everybody else. And then also when I am working with an active buyer or seller and we're in the thick of it, we're trying to get this listing on the market and we're going back and forth, or we are really close with some properties and things, then I will in the morning kind of give them my schedule. Because even though I may work 8 to 7, I'm available 8 to 7, every day is different. And I might just check in and say, hey, just checking in with you and let you know that I'll be in meetings all day until 1. Feel free to text me, but I won't be able to probably respond until after that. And then that just gives them a heads up and just letting them know what to expect. If it's somebody that I'm really, really actively working with.
Mm-hmm.
Good info, Angela. Michelle, quick question. What are your working hours?
24/7.
Right.
So
And so,
there's a difference between like what they are versus what I'm available to. Just because I'm always thinking the market's moving. But then I think that was one more question I was going to ask. How do y'all handle like clients between the research that you give them to, I want to go see that one, I want to go see that one. Like, would I say something like, I need 24 hours notice before we go see? You request a showing or set the expectation for showings? And
so,
what will advise there?
so how, first of all, how's your market doing? Because the different parts of the country are doing different things, and it does
It's
affect us a little bit. Are you in a very fast moving market, a normal moving market, a slower market? How would you describe it?
the way I often tell people, it's kind of like in pockets and categories. So right now the leasing for single family has been the most active, at least in my opinion. But condos, the specific person is interested in the condominium purchase. But I think it's like the last I checked was like 55 days, if not more. The median price at 400 some thousand. But that's also a very tricky, not a tricky question because there's so many variables when it comes to that question. And this particular investor wanted to know how soon can I get it leased? And I'm like, whoa, all we can do is compare and just give scenarios. I think that's how I operate is scenarios.
Good.
Does that make sense?
It does. And the idea of giving them a range or probability of certain things happening, that can help with them, right?
Mhm.
That's what they're looking for. They're just looking for an idea. They're just trying to, if they don't, they're not going to hold you to certainty, right? And you should not make a guarantee of certainty, right? And I can tell you're hesitant about that, and that's good.
That's my problem. Yeah.
So the way you solve that is you give them options and probability, right? These are the different ways it could happen, and this is the probability of it happening in one of these ways. So that's the big picture idea. Here you could just look at your stats and say, you know what? If you know the stats really well, you could say, hey, 35% of the properties lease out in the first week, 25% of the properties lease out in the next 3 days, and you bring them down a
Yep.
chart of what you typically see in the market currently, and that way you've given them an idea what can happen. And you also, I like to, in this example, you can give them a range. If you price your property in the at market value, you should probably lease it out within a week. If you're pricing it above that, it may take 2, 3, 4 weeks, or it may not happen at all. If you price below, you may be able to find a tenant within just a couple of days. They understand that. They're just trying to get an idea of how quick. And you also, the final part of that is you can say, look, until we have a property identified, I can't tell you what the market rates are going to be, but I'll try to help you with that as we move along, so you can make well-informed decisions. Do you run a pro forma for the investor when you find that investor property and say, here's what I think rents will be, here's what the cash flow should be,
I mean, I like to do it old school. I get my own little Excel sheet going, just based, like I said, a lot of that stuff is proprietary. So like if I give it over to them, then without a buyer's agreement, then it's more difficult. But I do give them that's the hard part is that a lot of the investors, in my opinion, if they're a novice, if they're new to the investment, I like the metrics. Like, what are you looking for? This is at best 12%, return on investment for this kind of category. So, yeah, to answer your question, not most of the time, because I'm still a little new. But when it comes to the investors, there's a lot of chemistry there, a lot of chemistry, just because of the nature of that business. But maybe that would help running more that kind of report for them. But I like to start not algebraically, but kind of put it in an Excel sheet. let's do variability because with condos, there's different HOAs and then taxes, and then the property owner association, if they need insurance, so many, factors. But yeah, I just do my own old school kind of stuff.
That's fantastic. That's what an investor wants. The nice thing about working with investors is they're number-oriented people, right? They want returns. They want to look at return on investment. They want to make sure things cash flow. You need to find out if your investor is a short-term investor. They're trying to do fix and flips. Are they long-term investor? They're buy and hold. What is their objective? Are they buying this property so they can get the write-offs on their taxes? Are they buying the property because they want the actual cash flow? And the only way to find out is to ask them questions. So you should always be asking questions to dig. And then you can always say, tell me more about that. Tell me more about that. Get them talking so you get in their mind and understand what their highest priorities are. And if they're giving you too many options, like they say, well, I want it because this, and this. It's like, that's fantastic. So always agree. And then say, if you can only have one of those, what would be the most important? Okay, you've got to help them narrow it down.
I need to ask
if you could only have two
early.
or three, what would be the most important ones that you'd want? And then from there, what would be the one most important of the two?
Yeah, I had told them to focus more on not really dollar for dollar too much, but like with an investment for rental only, I would look at the probability of it being continuously leased versus the highest bang for the buck, because that could vary too. Some tenants may make more money and others may not make as much money. And also look at like the history between how long it went unoccupied historically. So I like to look a lot at historical data when it comes to these types of scenarios. But like I said, sometimes they have it's glamorous own an investment property versus like that investor. Those are the ones that I love to work with, because this one gentleman, I gave him this. He goes, no, you bring me the data. I'll make the decision. I'm like, oh, yay. Because he had the experience. He knew what to look for. And there's more risk, especially with like all cash. Well, doesn't really matter. But for someone who isn't as experienced and doesn't know what to expect, just give me the best deal with what I have. Like I was telling Angela gave me a lot of counsel about like the region, the location, because he goes, just give me anywhere in Houston, like a condo, pick one. I'm like, wow. So
it's a big
it's
market.
not based on historical data, really. But I mean, my problem is that I read too much into a lot of things that maybe I don't need to read into.
So a couple things here, and by the way, thank you for sharing so much. First of all, you said something that's really important. As a business practice, I always make my clients make the decisions. I always have the clients make the decisions, the major decisions for sure. They've got to decide whether you're listing a property for sale or for lease. The client has to decide the price. If you're working with a buyer, they're going to make an offer, they have to decide the price. They have to come to that conclusion. Now you can give them counsel, you can show them options, you can show them different variations of probabilities, but in the end, they have to make the decision. They're the ones that win or lose based on these big decisions. So they have to make the ones that make the call. That's got to be the first part, right? They have to make those decisions and the determinations. One of the things I think that could be helpful, have you ever taken the DISC profile, the DISC?
Well, yeah, I'm conscientious with influencer as a secondary.
Really interesting. So did you say conscientious? So are you a C then?
Yeah, I'm a C.
Yeah, and I picked up on that you like to do calculations and crunch numbers and put together spreadsheets and so forth. The thing that you want to do is you want to identify what you are. First, you have to identify what you are. Okay. The DISC, by the way, is a communication tool, but it's also how we can operate our business.
Mhm.
All right. So you like to crunch numbers, you like to put together pro formas and examples. You need to lean into that and say, that's my strength. Okay. And figure out a way to present that to, in this case, investors, so that they can appreciate the knowledge and the information that you want to share. So lean into your see your detailed, organized self, and present that. That's the quality that you have to share with them. That's your sell. That's your pitch. That's your advantage, your competitive advantage. Okay. Um, and then the next part of DISC is you want to identify what they are, what the client is, the potential client, and you want to communicate with them in their style that they like. So for instance, the gentleman you said, hey, I'm going to make the decisions. Well, that's a D for sure. That guy is probably a D, right? Was he wanting bullet point information really fast and
Yeah, just give me what you got and I'll tell you if it's a good deal or not. Like all
Exactly. So he's
the
probably a
reports.
DC.
So I gave him the report, what he needed versus sometimes I think they think need to make the determination, the recommendation, which is more high risk versus they know what they're doing. Just give me the stuff. So it just depends. But yeah,
You've also figured out that you're looking for your ideal avatar. Oh, are you okay? Oh,
sorry, I
oh,
lost you for a bit. Sorry,
there we
go
go.
ahead.
We got you back.
Okay.
So you're going to want to look for your ideal avatar, by the way, as you're building out your business. So it sounds like you enjoy working with that hardcore D that's doing repetitive deals. And as you move forward in your career, you're going to want to identify those people and work with them. And you may actually be pushing away the people who are brand new, or you don't think that they're going to meet that parameter, right?
What do you mean by avatar?
An avatar is an ideal client. Okay, what are the characteristics of an ideal client? And just the industry started a few years ago to call that an avatar.
Okay.
It's basically just this ideal vision of who the person is that you want to work with.
Okay.
Okay, and so you should be identifying that and creating that in your mind so that your marketing, your reach out, your interactions with people can easily identify, is this my ideal client or is it not my ideal client? Okay. If you want to do volume, that's the way you're going to have to do it. Other ways of thinking about that are a niche. Right? I work in a niche. So currently it sounds like you're doing a lot of leasing and you're working with investors. And then what you're going to want to do is narrow that niche. As you just pointed out a great example, you don't want to be driving all over Houston. It's too big, right? It's too big. It's too much square footage. It's too many properties. You can't know all of Houston. It's too much. So maybe you become a specialist in a certain area or a certain property type, a certain situational type. Like maybe you become the expert in small multi-unit, duplexes, triplexes, and fourplexes. The reason that's important is the financing, right? Because anybody can get financing for that, live in one part, rent out the others, etc. Or maybe you're going to do large. You want to do medium-sized or large apartment buildings, right? You start to skew more towards the commercial. Maybe you want to do things where people fix and flip in a short term, right? That's the type of person you want to work with. Maybe you only want to work with long-term buy and holds because you're able to show them all the tax benefits and all the benefits of cash flow in your area. Everything's cash flowing. You understand what I mean by an avatar? You
Yeah.
can learn to do all of it.
I know it's not my avatar. Are married couples. Yeah. But no, that helps a lot.
So you don't like working with married couples, I just heard. And this is my point. When you create your avatar, you'll know what to exclude. In fact, it's the most important part of the avatar or the niche is the exclusion. It's the exclusion of things you don't want to do or people you don't want to work with. And keep in mind, it's not a personality thing. It's a business thing. Okay, this is my expertise, and these are the people that I can help. Everything else I don't know. I just don't understand. I'm not an expert in that world. Right? And so then it becomes really easy for you to do your marketing because you would go and identify those people, and then you give them a message that exactly matches what they want. And now there's a connection. So you both win. The person, your perfect avatar wins, and you win because you find each other in the world.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
So
Well,
that's why
thank
it's
you so
important to
much.
identify that as a business strategy. Go ahead.
And so thank you so much.
Of course.
Time is so valuable, and I appreciate the generosity of both you and Angela. So
Well, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to help people in this business to gain clarity. Because once you can gain that clarity, you can really start amping things up and achieve your goals for your own personal financial situation. Where maybe you'll be buying up all the investment property, right? Eventually, you become the investor who owns 300 units or whatever your avatar is.
possibly.
Yeah, why not? Why not? I'll give you an easy example. When I sold 113 homes in 1 year, and the reason I did that was because I didn't try to sell to everybody. I tried to narrow my niche down really tight. Okay. And it gives clarity and focus. I don't help everybody. I only help this group of people. So my example was I'm in Metro Denver. We're a big market, not quite as big as Houston, but we got millions of people here. Okay.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of property. And when I was getting started, I tried to be everything to everyone. I was running all over the place. My first transaction was on the other side of town. It was so far away, it was unbelievable. All right. But what I had to learn was that I had to narrow my niche if I wanted to do more sales. Like the first year, I only sold 5 homes the first 6 months and 7 homes my first year, full year. And I was doing okay, but I wasn't doing great. But then I jumped to 20 homes and 20 homes and 20, and I started to jump up. And the reason that started to happen was I narrowed the niche. And I started to narrow into I narrowed into my area, which is a city called Lakewood. So that just cut out the majority of the market. Then from there, I narrowed even deeper into condominiums and townhomes. And actually, in the beginning, I narrowed into one complex. So I got really good and expertise at that. And so eventually, I expanded out slightly once I learned that was a big win. And I became the #1 agent in Lakewood condos and townhomes. And just focused on that market. I learned all the things that were necessary to know what kind of styles there were, what the rents were, okay, what the values were. How do you cash flow in these markets? If I'm talking to an investor, if I'm talking to an owner, they want to know what's the HOA, what are the amenities, what are the things that are around this area that would be beneficial for them and their family, right? Anyway, you start to really narrow down into the avatars. And by narrowing down, I was able to expand. The strongest thing, the best part of doing the narrow was the exclusion.
Yeah.
Because then anytime anybody brought anything to me about, hey, you could market to another area, Wheat Ridge or Littleton or all these other, I'm like, I'm not interested. You can market to houses. I'm not interested. That's not what I do. You understand how I could exclude and then free up my mind space to focus just on this one thing. And then I became attractive. Everybody came to me who wanted to do Lakewood condos and townhomes.
Yeah, the go-to guy or the go-to lady.
Exactly. In fact, they started to call me something. A client called me the condo king.
Oh, wow.
Client called me the condo king. And I went, that's great. At first, I actually was a little put off by it. I'm like, well, that sounds weird. But then I'm like, that actually is pretty cool. And so I grabbed that name and I incorporated it into my marketing. It went up, right? Took off. And it became that attractor. So that's what I'm trying to say with niches.
Yeah.
You want to identify that and become as tight as you can. Anyway, I hope some of this has helped.
A lot.
All right, cool. All right, folks, we ate up a lot of good time here. Anybody else have a burning issue, though? We got just a couple minutes left. Any other burning issues you'd like to address before we break? All right. Anybody doing any events, any event marketing coming up over the next month or two?
Lee and I are planning to do a pie day. So I will be sharing more about that.
That's fantastic. Can't wait to hear about it. I know you're an expert in that field. It's going to be an awesome event. Done it many times. Can't wait to hear how you help us. Maybe we'll talk about that next time or next couple times. And you can share with us your approach to the Pi Day event. That's great. And that's going to be in October. I give
It will be,
get my months right. Is that November?
no, Pi Day will be in November.
November. I'm thinking of Halloween.
Pumpkin Day will be in October. So like Blake is going around to some of his top PCSOI people and delivering pumpkins. But yeah, the Pi Day, we'll do it a couple of days before Thanksgiving. And yeah, planning to put together some things that I can share with anybody that's interested in doing a Pi Day. So I'll be sharing that in the future.
Awesome, Angela. I look forward to that one. Cool. All right, so let's do this. Let's go ahead then. We're going to wrap up our production meeting, and thank you everybody for doing that. Now let's shift over into our daily huddle. And in our daily huddle, we try to get clarity on the day. One, we do two things. I ask you two questions. Number one, what was the number one thing you did yesterday or last business day to move your business forward? Just the number one thing that happened. And then the number one thing you plan to do today to move your business forward. So the first question gives us a little bit of success and a little bit of bragging rights about what went right yesterday. What did we learn and have a success? And then today, the second question is, what's going to help us focus on our move forward today? What is the number one thing we want to do to move our business forward? So let's go ahead and start. Who would like to go first? Number one thing you did yesterday and number one thing you're going to do today.
So I'll go. Yesterday kind of went a little a different path than I originally intended, but we made progress with that listing that's coming up. We got some times nailed down and ordered the sign and the photos. So with our brokerage, they provide the sign installation and a photographer to go out and take photos. So I got all that scheduled, and then we got our go live date scheduled and all of that in place. Today, I have a lot of leads that came in for a lease property, and so need to follow up with those. I have one showing scheduled for tomorrow, and then I'm going to try to schedule if there's any other people that want to see it at the same time. So
cool. That sounds great, Angela. Good luck on that.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, cool. Michelle, we just lost a couple folks. Michelle, would you like to give this a shot? I thought we'd give you a couple more examples first. But number one thing you did yesterday to move your business forward, number one thing you're going to do today to move your business forward.
Well, I don't know if this is considered. I went on ahead and did a lot of reading still. Like I just went on ahead and did like going through the contract, because it's a whole different contract here in Texas. So just reviewing it and also looking at the data while I wait for a response and just continue going on forward as if it were, because it's a lot of learning opportunity, making phone calls. Today, I'm going to reach out to some people that I had to reschedule, like networking wise, like a credit company and maybe a title person, to follow up to schedule like a session to get to know them and maybe do business with. I don't know if that's
You
in
bet.
that genre.
Michelle, you did a great job. Let me tell you, in this section, you pick what's the most important thing. You pick what the most important thing was yesterday. You pick what the most important thing is today. My recommendation and advice is to figure out what's the most lead generation or business generating thing you can do. So keep that in mind. Again, you always pick what's most important in your business. My preference is always to find what's a lead generation, what can help us find clients. Because ultimately, without a client, you have no business. So you got to always figure out, how can I get another client or my next client? And so for me, that becomes the highest priority. So if I can ever work that into this list, then I know I'm on track, right? And so, but again, anything you choose, that was the number one thing to help move your business forward, right? I just like lead generation as my number one thing, or something that can result in a closing or a sale. Right, so I'll give you an example. So the number one thing that I did before I mentioned I did my reach outs to my special project. I'm looking for new business, and I talked to people, the three people, the one who has something to sell, but it's not in my niche, so I'm not going to talk to him. And so I just just slowly reduced the conversation. Said, I'm not your guy. I'm not the one for you. But I wish you the best of luck. Number two, already sold. Can't help them now. But if they hadn't sold yet, I could have had a listing, potentially a potential listing. And number three was where they were already listed. I just missed them, right? But they were right in the wheelhouse of, hey, I could have got some new business from those phone calls. All right, so that was the day before. Today, my number one thing is actually going to be seller reports. So I have listings. And so now I got to reach out to my sellers once a week and let them know how things are going. And in that process, what I'm doing is I'm informing them about the market and any activity we've had over the last week, which has been very slow in my market, but I still give them the report. And I write out a report and then I call them with the report. Okay, so I write it out on the email, I send it out to them so they have the stats, all the information. Then I call them. In the old days, I used to have an assistant who would do that part, but that process has to happen because I'm looking to get a price reduction or an improvement. So in my market, I'm doing price reductions and adding incentives, right? So last week I got both price reduction and an incentive added. This week I'm trying to do the same. I do it every Tuesday. So you pick a day, you try to do standardizing.
Perfect.
Thank you. And so that's what I'll be doing today is working on that. I'm trying to help a couple of my sellers reposition in the market. Listen to the words. I'm repositioning, not price reducing. I'm repositioning in the market, right? Language is valuable and important in how we present it. And then the second part of that is I'll be doing more reach outs to people who could become potential listings. Okay. All right, cool. Good job, everybody. Appreciate everybody being here on the call today. And I hope you have a fantastic and productive rest of your day. Take care for now.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Have a great day.